Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Weiss here, coming at you with another episode of Live with Weiss. Now that we keep on rolling through these, it's been absolutely magnificent. This episode that we are going to cover, we're going to continue our path along helping sellers find new traits, find new skills, to help them through their selling process. In our previous episode, we went over the power of the pause. The pause is one magnificent piece of skill that every single seller out there should have. Like we talked about, it has the ability to generate conversation in a moment of silence. It has the ability for the other person that you're speaking with to ingest all the information you dropped on them, and so many more things. And every single skill that we go over, like the power of the pause, is just something to add to your skill sets, is added to your ammo belt as you're going out and solving problems, solving pains for your customers. Now, Live with Weiss, of course, we talk about these skill sets. Then at the end, we go over the comments. We take a look to see if there's any questions, field any of those questions, and rock and roll and enjoy the moment. So today's episode is one of my favorites. Coming from a world of working with the greatest sellers out there, one trait that they all have in common is finding pain within the customers that they are working with. I know, sounds a little interesting, sounds a little, well, everyone feels pain, right? But pain is an emotion, is something that affects you, sometimes physically as well. And it's something that needs to be solved, just like a problem. Most sellers out there are trying to discover the problem that is occurring and whether or not their product fits the need of that problem. Nothing wrong with that. That's what we try to do as sellers. That's what we want to do. We serve the public in a way where we could solve these problems. But here's the funny thing. Problems stem from pains people are having. If you can solve a problem, that's great. If you can solve a pain, that is magnificent. With all the great sellers I have worked with over the years, the number one thing they're always looking for is to solve a pain a customer is having. They discover the problem that a business might have, that an individual might have, but they dive deeper. They peel back the layers of the problem. That's what it is. There's something deeper meaning to that problem that reveals some sort of pain that they are experiencing. But here's the funny thing, and this is why selling is so amazing. Every seller is such a strong, every seller has the ability to build strong relationships. And part of those strong relationships is establishing trust. Part of establishing those relationships is having great conversations. And here's the funny thing. As we're establishing these relationships require a whole bunch of things like trust, the ability to listen, and so forth. But as we're establishing these relationships, we stop as sellers all the time. And when we see when there's a problem to be solved, we hop on it. Come on. I've seen it over and over and over again. You're going to have two types of buyers. You're going to have somebody who knows what they want, they need it, and they're going to tell you straight up. Those are our favorite type of people to sell to, right? Yeah. All right. Here's the proposal. Here's a little information about the product. There you go. But we don't always get this. We got people that are shopping. different solutions to solve the pain that they're having at that very moment within their business or in their personal life. But in those conversations we have with those particular people who don't have the ability to say, I'm buying your product right now, they want to be sold by you. And as they're talking to you, I know what happens. You learn about their business. You're getting into that discovery mode. You're discovering more about that individual. Then all of a sudden they're saying, yeah. Listen, this is costing me a ton of money. And I know your product can help me solve this problem. What do we all do? We bounce on it. Yo, whoa. Yeah. Of course. Listen, I've got the solution for you. My product solves the problem you are having. Let me show you how it solves that problem. We love those moments. We strive for those moments. But here's the thing. When we bounce at that moment, we didn't take a moment back to say, well, why is this the problem in the first place? Where did this problem stem from? How did this problem come up in the first place? When did this problem start? There's the difference in selling techniques when you are a seller that's going to hear the problem and either A, take two paths. One, discover more about that problem, or B, sell to that problem. We hear it all the time. People buy from people, right? They express they had a problem, and you decide to take path A. I have a solution for that problem. They don't know much about you. Have you established any sort of trust whatsoever? Have you learned everything about that individual? Are they buying from you, or are they just buying from the company that has that product and you're just the person that's going to serve it to them? Or the best sellers out there will take path B. Interesting. So the problem that you're facing today is a process problem. The problem that you're facing today is a money problem. The problem you're facing today is a time problem. I want to know more about this problem, because as you peel back the layers of that problem, you begin to unravel pain. Remember, the definition of pain is very simple. It is physical or emotional discomfort that somebody is experiencing. No better way to make someone feel good than actually solving the pain. Because if you solve that pain, you solve the problem. So not only are they mentally there in solving the problem, they're also emotionally invested in solving what's happening at that moment to them with the product that you are selling. And it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Listen, you could be selling cars, you could be selling real estate, you could be selling pharma, you could be selling small tech, big tech. It doesn't matter. Because when you get a buyer that is shopping for a product, they are trying to solve a problem and trying to solve, more importantly, a pain that they are experiencing. So how do you identify this, right? How do you capture that moment? How do you go about unveiling the pain of a customer? Listen, most customers are willing to share that pain. The ones that don't are the ones that are already going to buy your product. So there, that was pretty easy. They're the ones that are like, hey, listen, I'm calling you because I need your product. Send me over the proposal. We're good to go. Those are our favorite. That happens 1 in a million. The other ones, though, are willing to do it. But you have to earn the right to learn about that pain. Right? You're going to sell, you're going to make money no matter what. But as sellers, we're servants in solving these pains that people are experiencing, which stem to the problems a business might be having that your product solves. So how do you do it? How do you get in there? How do you get in and begin this process? So I got a few tips, a few tricks that you can use from your selling techniques. Listen, you could do this. You could use these techniques on your friends. You could practice these things to dive deeper. One, and the very first thing is when you go into the mindset of going in and having a conversation with a prospect, you need to go in thinking, I need to discover what pain this prospect is feeling. I'm going to unravel the problem. But what is the pain that they are feeling that is causing this problem to actually happen? You need to go in with that mindset because that mindset's going to help you steer in that direction. Because the second thing you need to do is hold off when you hear this is the problem our business is experiencing today. This is the problem I am experiencing today. They give it to you, and that path of saying, I have a solution. Yes, my product solves your problem, and you feel good about that. Stop. It's amazing what happens when someone expresses that problem that you actually need to be curious about. Well, how did that problem come about? Learn more about the history of how this problem built up. Build it up, build it up. Learn more about this person because learning about that person is going to establish trust. Listen, there's no way in hell you're going to get someone to express the pains they feel without establishing trust. That's it. No one's going to express their pain. I'm not going to share the pain with some stranger who's not vested in me. But I will share pains with people if I trust them. If I trust that I can express these pains, the things that I've gone through, the stresses I feel, knowing that that person I'm speaking to is going to solve the pain that I have. So you have to establish trust. Don't worry. Trust is very deep. Trust has a lot of components to it. We'll have another session on trust, but keep that in mind. There's a lot of books out there about establishing trust. Take the time to understand what trust actually is. And in later episodes, we'll actually dive into what the trust factor truly is comprised of. Next thing, as you dive into unraveling pain, be curious. Be curious. When you hear that problem, that is something that's going to say, hey, that's a trigger word. This is a problem that they're experiencing. I want to hone in on that particular problem. And I want to learn more about it. You want to learn more about the historical factor of how it got there, the types of challenges it brings upon that person and the business, the impacts it is having on them and on their business. When then truly you will start to understand the pain that they feel. Big tip. When you ask about the historical factor of a problem that they're having and starting to unravel and understand what that pain is, shut up and listen. I know that's very direct, but you've got to listen. And more importantly, when you're stopping and allowing that person to expel the information about what's going on, you need to actively listen. Active listening, and I've seen this over and over, and if you do this, it's okay. You can change this. No better way than having a conversation with somebody. And as you're having a conversation, if your camera's off, you're looking at your phone and doing other things while this person is speaking, you're not actually listening at all. You're just letting it go by and thinking you know everything. When in reality, you need to be listening closely for key trigger words, words that express emotions, words that express pain. You have to look for things like stress, hate, anger. You could also look for positivity, things that make them feel good, but you need to look for those emotional trigger words, words that express emotion. And then you use those words. You take notes on them because those words are a part of the journey, because you're going to go back to those words and you're going to use them throughout the selling process. You're going to go through your demo. Remember that time you told me that this moment, this pain that you're feeling is causing you stress? Well, this part of the product is what's going to alleviate that stress. You're bringing it back to that emotional state. You talked about time, and time costs money, and it's causing you to be frantic, to be disorganized. This part of the product will save you time, help you become more organized, just like you told me. In a demo, they're going to listen in. Yeah, of course, I want to solve that. That's a personal thing to me. Of course, I want to solve that. It's going to save the business issue. But to me, that pain needs to be solved. You follow the red thread all the way through. You're closing. Listen, after everything we spoke about, listen, I want to solve this pain of stress that you're having. The stress is causing you to be disorganized. And this disorganization is costing your business money. My product solves that pain and problems that you are having. It really helps with justifying the price as well. So those are some of the big tips that you could take in your process. Finding the pain is so important. And it's one of my favorites because when I watch a seller truly find the pain and solve a customer's pain, it is the greatest thing to see because that customer is happy, they thrive, their business thrives, their personal health thrives. And isn't that all we are looking for? So again, no matter what business you're in or anything like that, your buyers are buying something because they're trying to solve a pain that they're experiencing. That pain is a problem, right? But it is our job as sellers to dive deeper, pull back the layers, and unravel it. So how do you take all these things and put them into practice? Well, it's very hard to just go into a deal that you're working and honestly just try it out, because there's a good chance that you dive in the wrong direction. It's okay. A lot of times people fail in finding the true pain point of a customer. A lot of people fail in establishing trust with a customer. But you got to try it with other people. Talk to your manager. Like, hey, I want to run a scenario with you, with a client that I'm going to be having a conversation with, and I just want to do a little role play. Role play is awesome. I know everybody hates role play. It's totally okay, though. Role play allows you to actually test it in a safe environment. Your manager needs to make it safe in order for it to succeed. And you get to practice, because practice makes permanent. Nothing's perfect, right? The second thing is listen. If you hear the problem that a customer is experiencing, pause. Don't jump into I have a solution, but instead be curious. There's nothing wrong with diving deeper into the problem they're facing because that problem is going to unravel the pains that they are experiencing. Finally, begin to look up key emotional words. I mean, listen, emotional words, type it into Google. I could send a sheet of words that express people's feelings, start to categorize them happy, sad, whatever, but start to look those up because when they use those, it's triggering an emotion, and that emotion could derive from the pain. And you want to know what those words are. Those are the things that you can do in finding pain with a customer. Because in the end, it's what we do. It's what I love seeing the greatest sellers do. I love seeing all of us solving these pains, which create problems. And the solutions that we offer truly, truly change lives. That was a quick one today, team. Let's take a look at the comments and see what's going on here. All right. Come from Donnie. Identifying pain points and solutions eliminates the cause and should prevent any reoccurring or associated problems. Absolutely. Listen, pain points and those solutions, nobody likes feeling bad, right? Everybody who feels some sort of thing or trying to solve it. Why? Because it feels good to feel happy, to feel less stressed. When you're stressed, that's when it comes into play. So here's an example. I don't come from the real estate industry whatsoever, but this problem applies to it. You have a family that is coming to you and you're a real estate agent and they're coming to you wanting to buy a house. I could imagine watching enough HGTV that particular family is sharing what they are looking for. We are looking for space. We are looking for a specific location. We're looking for a price. We're looking for all that. Okay, perfect. I would ask, why are you looking for that in the first place? Then they're going to dig back into the history and say, well, the current house that we are in, we have a problem where it's not enough space. Oh, well, what do you mean by space? Why is that space not enough? What kind of space are you looking for? What would you do with that space if you had it? All of a sudden, they will begin to open up even more. And then all of a sudden, it's a problem. Space is the problem. But the pain could essentially be in the end, because my kids don't have space in the backyard, they're upset, which stresses me out. Sure. Well, then we need to ensure that as I show you these houses, I'm going to solve this pain of stress that you're having with a space that is going to solve that problem. And you use that through your real estate cycle. And that will connect the person to you and to the solution, which is a brand new home. How'd you like that? Go ahead, real estate agents. Maybe I should get my real estate license. Nah, I'm okay. I'll let the pros do that. Excellent. Well, I appreciate everybody joining in today, checking out another session live with Weiss. Be sure to tune in next week as we continue to drive sales skills across the board. Like we did before, we went over the power of the pause. Today, we went over pains. What's coming next? Who knows? But be sure to tune in, and I'll catch you all next time. We're live with Weiss. Cheers.